clicks. Next thing you know, everything's fucked. So that's what we do here, folks. What part was that true? What part? I don't know. I don't ask these people. I just have a good time watching them, that's all. I hope you are too. All right. Ready for our next performer? I love your enthusiasm. All right, 2 truths and a lie. Here we go. Number 1. She's a Chicago actor, writer, podcaster, and recently unemployed person. I'm not shitting you, that is genuinely like word for word my own bio right now too. I'm gonna get right there. Unemployed, bullshit. But that also could be bullshit. That might be not true. I don't know. Number 2, you can listen to her mental health comedy podcast, Weighted Blanket Happy Hour, anywhere you get your podcasts. And also, talk to her about her novel after the show because she's really fucking excited about it.
Woo!
Or not, I don't know. But it could be this one, number 3. She once fought a wombat at a petting zoo because the little bastard stole her phone and all of her stuff is in there. Please put your hands together for Jackie Jaretta!
Honestly, all 2 of those might be too.
It was a koala. Alright. Names have been changed to protect the innocent. Someone once said to me, a wedding is a joining of 2 souls. And to that I said, shut the fuck up, Sarah. What weddings actually are, as any single adult who has ever been to one can attest to, are opportunities to look hot, get drunk for free, and maybe hook up with someone. It is with this mindset that we find me approximately 3 years ago, in 2021, when I was invited by my friend Amy to be her +1 to a wedding for her old high school friend. A wedding with a date that barely cleared the COVID vaccine becoming available. We had a brief conversation and it basically boiled down to, yikes, I know the vaccine exists and we have it, but not everybody has it, and it's in the suburbs, so like who the fuck has it? No idea. But at this point, I will tell you that while generally I am not a reckless person, I do live by the sacred millennial code of YOLO. And I had been cooped up in my house for like a year, so I went. As we begin our adventure, remember what I said weddings are for. Look hot, get drunk for free, maybe hook up with someone. These are my goals. It's a hot Saturday morning in late June. Amy picks me up in her extremely sensible Camry, as is her style, and I pray that the Dramamine does its job as we drive all the way out to Ottawa, Illinois, which is, fun fact, radioactive. As some woman in a crummy museum would tell us, due to the radium factories that existed there during World War II. She casually told us how many people in that town apparently get cancer every year. Now, none of that is relevant to the story, but I had to tell you all because what the fuck? Luckily, our destination is not Ottawa proper, but just outside the city, where there are several large estates, including the mansion where the wedding is being held. My pages are out of order, so I'm gonna fix this real quick. Nope. Okay, there we go. Anyway, the house is one of those old, gutted, and remodeled mansions from the 1800s that basically exist to be a wedding venue and not much more. It's beautiful, and the wedding is very fancy. An absurd amount of fresh flowers, a big sign that says, Karen and Chris welcome you to their wedding in elegant cursive. The whole thing. I, of course, look hot. Check that box. 1 out of 3, let's go. Amy and I arrive at the outdoor ceremony space, which is a flagstone patio area clearly designed as a wedding space with no other apparent function. At the front is an archway decorated by an unholy amount of peonies, and in the fields and all around us, willows rustle in the soft breeze as it sweeps in from the fields beyond the mansion. It's about 90 degrees, so the breeze does little to cool any of us and instead feels more like the hot breath of nature laughing in our faces at our misery. And the 100 or so of us are in this barely made it past COVID wedding are all packed pretty tightly. To everyone's credit, most of them are wearing masks, but I cringe and contemplate my life decisions nevertheless. Amy and I grit our teeth, take a seat on the bride's side, and watch somebody's uncle damn near sweat to death with only one of those little complimentary fans to help his poor soul. The next time I check my phone, it's a few minutes after the ceremony was supposed to have started. Big wedding, not unusual. But then it's 20 minutes later, then 45. An hour after the ceremony was supposed to have started, an old man wearing a very fancy suit and dabbing sweat off his face with a handkerchief comes speeding down the aisle to the front. He stands up in front of everybody and goes, "Hello everyone, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Paul, I'm Kara's father. Unfortunately, there will not be a wedding today."
Oh!
That is also how the guests reacted. He says, "The food and drinks are paid for, so please enjoy yourselves. Thank you," and he walks off.
Oh, the tea!
Seeing that this situation clearly calls for the utmost discretion, I quickly turn to Amy and say, "Hey, what the fuck?" Luckily, my what the fuck is drowned out by about 100 other what the fucks as people start to scramble away from the oppressively hot ceremony space with all of the fervor of rats jumping off the Titanic. We head inside for cocktails where there is, thankfully, air conditioning, and Amy are like, "Okay, priority number 1, champagne." We get champagne. Priority number 2 is figure out what the hell happened. Over the next hour, we're drinking our drinks and we're eating fancy, tiny food, but we're also trying to get the tea. Slowly, we piece together the story. The groom, Chris, had apparently never shown up that morning, along with most of his groomsmen, and by the time anybody realized they weren't there, they had all absconded to Vegas. A full scale left of the altar scenario. This is obviously very sad for the bride, but I don't know her, so I'm like, we paid for the hotel room already, I look hot, I get free dinner, I'm getting drunk for free, that's like 2 out of 3 things that I wanted to accomplish this weekend, I'm good. The dinner hour rolls around, the salmon is delicious. Obviously they skip all of the entrances and speeches, some people kind of leave awkwardly. A handful of what are clearly bridesmaids eventually shuffle in, and I sit there and sort of watch them awkwardly forego the big table at the front that is clearly designated for the wedding party, and instead just kind of cram into empty chairs around the room. All of a sudden, there's a collective gasp, and everyone turns, and this girl is walking into the dining room. She's wearing one of those monochromatic hot girl tracksuits, and she's in full glam hair and makeup. She walks up to the front where there's a mic, picks it up, and says, "Hi everyone, thanks for coming out this evening. I just wanted to say to everybody in this room who told me to leave him, you were right." Pause for an incredibly awkward silence. She continues, "Anyway, we spent a lot of money on this party, and it would actually make me feel a lot better if people enjoyed it, so please enjoy the open bar. I know I will, thanks." She then promptly walks over to said open bar and takes a shot of tequila, which, fair. I look around and realize that, surprisingly, there are enough people at this wedding who have stuck around through the dinner hour that they're able to honor the girl's request, and people start dancing. At one point, I need some air, so I step outside, where I promptly reach into my purse and grab the single pre-rolled joint that I brought with me because I party like that. And by like that, I mean alone on my couch playing video games.
Yeah, you do!
But before I can light my conspicuous not cigarette, I look up, and who should I see but Tracksuit Girl, aka Kara, aka the Jilted Bride, who is standing on the porch, glass of wine filled to the brim in one hand and a lit cigarette in the other, just kind of staring forward. We lock eyes. I'm sorry, I can leave you alone, I say. No, it's okay, you can be out here, Kara responds casually. I look at her and I realize she doesn't look like she's been crying. Her makeup is fully intact. I introduce myself and explain who I am and who I'm there with. This was probably more than what you bargained for this weekend, huh? Kara says. She smiles at me, and she has those eyes where the dark circles under them are just kind of made of dark humor. She seems like someone who could host a true crime comedy podcast. Immediately, I'm thinking, I don't know this Chris dude, but she is way too good for him. We chat for a while. I end up finding out that the reason Kara hasn't been crying is because apparently pulling a stunt like this is completely within Chris's character. Kara says that she's been with him for 4 years, and in that time, he has cheated on her while drunk at a club, forgotten her birthday, and while he wasn't mean to her, he wasn't exactly nice either. Leaving her at the altar was the final straw, but it also wasn't surprising to Kara, so she's therefore at that point right after the breakup where you're relieved because you knew it should have ended forever ago, but you didn't have the courage to do it. It's like that weird cathartic place to be. At one point, while complaining about Chris, Kara says, whenever he got too drunk, he would like start crying about how I'm gonna leave him for a girl because I'm bi. And I was like, oh my god, I'm bi too. Cue the queer girl spiral about whether something gay and flirtatious is happening. Or whether I'm like predatory for even thinking that I'm a horrible person. Regardless, we stay out there talking for a while. Eventually, one of the bridesmaids sort of pokes her head out, asks Kara if she needs anything. Kara says no. Bridesmaid goes away. Kara looks back at me and says, I should go. I was here because I wanted to save face, but now I think I might need like 3 gin and tonics and 5 more cigarettes. At this point, I remember 2 key facts. Weed is legal and I have some. So with 4 drinks and the rush of potential queer anonymity in my system, I say, well, hey, if you want to smoke something else, I brought a joint. She sort of looks taken aback, and I have a moment where I'm like, shh. But then she says, yeah, sure, let me tell my maid of honor that I'm going, and I'll meet you outside in like 5. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. And then I sprint. I run back in, find Amy, frantically explain the situation, tell her I'll meet her back at the hotel, and 5 minutes later, me and Kara are walking at sunset down the most beautiful flagstone paths as they wind around the ancient willows on the estate. The glow of the party inside radiates out the windows of this new but made to look old mansion like some antebellum era Disneyland. And eventually, we end up at this little ivy-covered cottage where the bridal suite is. There's a back porch with a love seat, and it looks out over these stunning gardens, and the sun is setting in that indolent, hypnotic way that it does in midsummer. We're talking, we're smoking a joint, we're giggling, I'm doing friendly knee touches. And now I am filled with enough liquid and vapor courage that I'm just flirting with the jilted bride. So anyway, about 15 minutes into me and Kara making out, I'm thinking, I love this for me. This is great. This girl gets to have a rebound. I get to do kissing for the first time since the pandemic. Like 10 out of 10, great decisions. Right as I am about to suggest that we move this whole thing somewhere more air-conditioned and less mosquito-ridden, we hear a sound from inside. We both freeze and immediately hear someone call out for Kara. She makes like a hold on gesture before she heads inside. It is important to let you all know that I am, at this point in the story, so high. So I therefore do what any high person would do in this situation, which is to curl tightly into a ball and just sort of lay down on the love seat and hope nobody sees me. Approximately 45 minutes pass. In reality, it was probably more like 3, but I was super stoned and this story's supposed to be exaggerated, so we're gonna go with 45. I'm there. I'm curled up. I am not well hidden. The high paranoia is off the charts, and I'm thinking, it's Chris. Chris came back. It's 1,000% Chris. He has returned from Vegas to win Kara back. He's gonna walk out here, very easily see me just curled up in the tightest ball on this love seat, like the biggest idiot who ever went to a wedding and tried to hook up with a bride. And now I'm going to have to duel him for her honor. I don't know how guns work. So I would probably just end up doing the thing that they do in Hamilton where they aim the pistol at the sky, except that doesn't work out for anybody who does that in Hamilton. And also, Kara seems lovely, but I don't think it would work out with us long term because she lives in Ottawa, a town that, as we have established, literally gives people cancer. Finally, Kara walks back out and she's frowning. I unclench and ask what happened. Kara says, That was my maid of honor. Apparently Chris has been trying to call my phone all day. I, with my cortisol levels at an all-time high, start to say something about how I totally understand she needs me to leave, but she stops me. I told her to block him, she says casually. Which she did, and then left, because I told her that I was in the middle of a rebound. Now, no one can accuse me of being subtle and ladylike, but it's not that kind of podcast, so infer whatever you want here. I did not stay the night because I figured that would officially be too weird, so eventually I went back to the hotel that Amy and I split, where I obviously told her everything. It's been close to 3 years since all of this happened, and I never saw Kara again, but the story does have a happy ending. Kara, according to Amy, did not take Chris back when he returned and begged her to get back together. And she wound up going to veterinary school.
All the dogs.
There are 2 morals to this story. 1, being single and focusing on yourself and your own growth is always better than putting up with a Chris. And 2, I am fantastic at weddings. Thank you.
Let's keep it going for seconds right Couldn't tell you how many times I've been in that situation with full drink in hand and cigarette in the other hand, just staring off at a notebook.